But today we're talking about culture at the heart of that post-merger integration. How important in this process is culture?
Hugely important, because a decision needs to be made, and I'm going to try to make this as clear as possible for everybody listening. The outcome, in relation to culture needs to be very well defined. And to me, there are three scenarios. One scenario is the combined entity after, the transaction is completed, is going to take the culture of the buyer. So this may be seen as imposing, it may be seen as steamrolling, unfair, one-sided, whatever you want to call it, and maybe it can create attrition, but it is the prerogative of the buyer, to make this choice at the end of the day. The second option is that all cultures are allowed, and they remain independent from one another. And this could be valid for those entities that are kind of rolling up under, an umbrella, and basically it's seen like different brands, different cultures. It creates a kind of a very rich environment, and diversity is seen like a plus rather than a minus. And the third scenario would be when a new culture is formed, taking, from the buyer and from the seller. This is often the preferred option, but it involves effort and it involves being intentional about it. And if it's not done right, it can result like one imposing over the other, or basically both coexisting. Because depending on what choice is made, you're going to require a different plan, you're going to require different skills, and you're going to require different priorities. And this is easier said than done. Just to give you a few examples of what I mean by culture, I'm gonna quote Ben Horowitz, his great book, "What You Do Is Who You Are." And some of the things that he says is, culture is when you're trying to answer questions. And this is not, the values that you have on a frame, on the wall, but rather, questions such as, when I negotiate this contract, what's more important, price or partnership? Depending on what culture you have chosen, the answer will be one or the other. Should I point out what my peers are doing wrong, or should I point out what my peers are doing right? If I know that something is badly broken, do I say it? And whom do I say it? Should we discuss the name of this service offering for 5 minutes or for 30 hours? So culture is how you answer these questions. If you ask any of the employees in the company to answer these questions, how would they answer? So it's not that easy, as you can see, because, you really need to be deliberate about, what you want to convey to people, and whether this is afterwards going to roll off the tongue of every single employee in the company.